Life has no clue where it takes you. I used to prepare for various job exams, and I was around 24 years old. I had taken many tests, but couldn't succeed in any of them. Still, I kept working hard. Then one day, the entrance exam for a teaching certification program, like an alternative certification course, was announced. I'll talk to my sister, and she said, "You should take this course. A teaching job eventually comes to everyone at some age." So, I filled out the application, passed the exam, and got admitted. Now, daily, I used to go to classes to study. 6 months passed. One day, while waiting for my bus at the transit center, I saw an elderly gentleman. He was shorter than me, but had fair skin, and his cheeks were completely rosy. He looked like an educated person. I always feel like befriending educated elderly people, listening to their joys and sorrows, talking to them, and relieving their loneliness. That elderly gentleman started appearing at the transit center every day. My heart wanted me to go to him, or at least gesture from afar to make friends. But the kids from my class were always with me, so I couldn't go near him or talk to him. However, just seeing him gave my heart a unique kind of peace. The transit center was crowded with people, but when I saw the gentleman, I couldn't see anyone else. The rest of the world would become blurry. For about 2 months, I consoled myself just by looking at him from a distance. One day, our instructor said, "Everyone, you can take the day off today." All the students took the day off, even though it was a working day. A bell rang in my mind, and a crazy idea struck me. Why not go to the city today as well? Since my classmates were always with me daily, I could only look at that gentleman from afar. Today I had the opportunity to sit with him, talk, and befriend him. I got ready and left home. I reached the city transit center at 2 p.m. There was so much excitement in my heart. Normally, I used to arrive at 3:20 p.m. daily, but today I came at 2 p.m., so I wouldn't miss his timing and fail to see or meet him. My wait there felt like an entire day stretched into an hour. By now, it was 3 p.m., and my eyes were eagerly searching for the gentleman. Despite the intense heat, I didn't feel hot at all. Then, through the crowd, I spotted him, a handsome elderly man with a white beard, wearing a navy blue shirt and grey pants. Today, he looked even more beautiful. He stood there waiting for his bus. I was watching him. He seemed restless standing in the heat. It's very difficult for an elderly person to stand in such heat. I could understand his discomfort from afar. My heart desperately wanted to help him, but some hesitation held me back. However, I ignored my mind and listened to my heart, and walked toward him. Near him on a bench sat a 14-year-old schoolboy. I said to him, "Hey buddy, the gentleman has been standing for a long time. Could you please give him your seat? I'd really appreciate it." The boy agreed and got up. I said, "Sir, please have a seat here." He sat down. Today, even that brief exchange gave me immense peace. Although it was just a small conversation of 2 lines, it meant a lot to me. The gentleman blessed me, saying, "Son, may you live long. May God grant you a long life." I became ecstatic with joy. Even while sitting, he was sweating a lot. My heart wished I could become a fan and dry all his sweat with a breeze. At the same time, I was cursing God in my mind. "Oh God, why didn't you make the weather cooler today? My sir is sweating." But all this was just in my thoughts. About 20 minutes later, the bus to his suburb arrived. I felt that this much meeting with him was all that was destined for me today. I had come from home with many thoughts, but on the spot, only a 2-line conversation was fated. Still, I was happy that the gentleman had seen me, and I had come into his notice. But wait, what? He didn't board that bus. I was surprised, thinking he usually takes this bus every day. What happened today that he didn't get on? Slowly, the gentleman came over to my side of the transit center. He was asking the driver something, as if inquiring about the timing of another bus. A wave of happiness rose in my heart again, because I got more time to meet him. Today, it felt like even God was helping me. The gentleman walked toward me. He was looking at me but was still at a distance. He knew that this boy had helped him today, so he started coming toward me. But I got scared. Why was he coming toward me? Because I had been staring at him continuously. I thought he was coming to ask, "Son, do you know me?" since I kept looking at him. The gentleman came to me and asked in a sweet, soft voice, "Son, where does the bus to such and such city leave from, and what time does it leave?" Hearing this, I was stunned, because he was asking about the bus going toward my suburb. For a moment, I felt like I was dreaming, but no, it was real. He was genuinely asking me. I asked, "Sir, where do you need to go?" He said, "I need to go to this city." I told him, "Sir, I'm also going that way. The bus will come here and leave at 3:45. He said, "All right, son." He stood near me. I was watching him from very close. Every part of him seemed as if God had personally crafted him. His rosy cheeks, his milk-white beard and beautiful moustache looked no less than a movie star. Looking at his red cheeks, I don't know what happened to my heart. His shoes were perfectly polished. For the first time, such a handsome elderly person had talked to me. Usually, I had only seen such elderly people from afar. I said, "Sir, the bus will be very crowded. You'll have to rush ahead to get on. Otherwise, you won't get a seat." He said, "Oh, will it be that crowded?" I said, "Yes, sir." He looked at me with eyes seeking help, as if silently saying, "Son, could you save a seat for me?" I understood without him saying it. I had experience boarding crowded buses. In the past 6 months, I had never traveled standing. I always got on first and grabbed a seat. Today, I had to do this for my dearest person, and it was my big responsibility. Just then, our bus arrived and stopped at the bay. I got on first and sat on the double-seat side. I kept my bag, which had my books, on one seat to reserve it. I had saved the seat. Now I waited for the gentleman to come. The bus was completely full, with only the gentleman's seat empty. Other passengers kept asking me to move my bag, but I told everyone, "The gentleman will sit here. This seat is his." It was as if I had bought that seat for him. Then the gentleman arrived, and seeing me arguing with people, smiled and sat on that seat. Today, that beautiful person whom I used to admire from afar was sitting right next to me on the same seat. After sitting, he said, "Thank you, son. You saved the seat beforehand." I said, "Sir, it's nothing. It was my duty." I kept looking at him, staring at him. My heart wanted to say, "Sir, will you be my friend?" But I didn't have the courage. The gentleman noticed me looking at him and asked, "What happened? Why are you looking at me?" I said, "Nothing, sir, just like that. You look so handsome." He smiled slightly with his soft lips and said, "The whole world is beautiful." I said, "No, sir, you look much more handsome than the world." Now the gentleman had a slight idea about my feelings. He said, "You're also a very good boy." After this exchange, we both fell silent. He started looking outside through the window. No one could hear our conversation because of the noise from the crowded bus. I asked, "Sir, you used to take a different bus daily. How come you're taking this bus today?" He said, "How do you know I used to take another bus?" I said, "I used to see you daily. You used to board the bus on the other route. Today you boarded this bus for the first time." He said, "Today I'm going to my sister's house. My car is parked there, and I need to bring it back." I said, "Oh, I see. That's why you came on this bus today." I lovingly placed my hand on the gentleman's hand. He immediately pulled his hand away. Then with great courage I said, "Sir, here's my phone number. Please call me this evening. I need to tell you something important." He said, "Just tell me here. What is it?" I said, "No, sir, I'll tell you on the phone. It's urgent." He looked at me with strange eyes, and I wrote my number and gave it to him. Just then, my suburb stop came, and I got off, looking at him with loving eyes. While walking home, strange thoughts ran through my mind. Would he call me or not? I reached home. I wasn't hungry today. A hope had awakened in me that he would definitely call. As soon as I got home, I put my phone on charge and sat near it. Evening came, but no call arrived. It got dark, and I had lost hope that the gentleman wouldn't call. Then my phone rang, an unknown number. On Truecaller, an unfamiliar name appeared. It was the gentleman's name. I quickly picked up the phone, and a sweet voice said, "Hello, son." I greeted him and asked how he was. He said, "Yes, son, tell me, what did you want to talk about?" I didn't have the courage to say my actual feelings, so I asked, "What do you do for work?" He said, "Son, was that all you wanted to ask? You could have asked that there itself." He answered, "I'm an agriculture development officer with the county." I didn't know what that meant. I replied, "Sir, I have more to say, but you might get angry." He said, "No, don't worry, go ahead and ask." I said again, "Sir, you'll get angry." He said, "No, I swear by you I won't." He had an idea of what I wanted to say. Perhaps he wanted to hear it. Then I said, "Sir, you're very handsome. Will you be my friend?" I bit my lip and closed my eyes, scared he might yell at me. But nothing like that happened. He said, "We're already friends, son." I said, "No, sir, I love you. I like you very much. I want to meet you and give you a tight hug." Now there was silence from the other side. Both ends went quiet. Then the gentleman spoke. "Tell me where to meet." My happiness knew no bounds. I said, "Tomorrow I have an exam, but the day after tomorrow is a holiday, Sunday. We can meet then." The gentleman said, "Yes, I'm also off." He gave me a time of 11 a.m., but he didn't tell me a place. The next morning came. I told my family I was going to the city for an event. I started getting ready and was dressed by 9 a.m. I called the gentleman and asked, "Are you coming?" He happily said, "Yes, I'm having breakfast and will leave soon." You start as well. I boarded the bus and reached the city in half an hour. I was very happy because I was going to meet a handsome elderly friend. I stood at the transit center waiting for the gentleman. Shortly after, he arrived. I had imagined he would come in some car, but seeing his car surprised me. It was an Audi, which his son preferred. I sat in the car and he shook my hand. I was very excited. I asked, "Sir, where are we going?" He said, "Let's go somewhere." He drove out of the city, stopped at a small coffee shop on an unfamiliar road, and said, "Come, let's have some coffee." I had no idea what was going on in his mind. We both sat on chairs. I said, "You look very handsome." He held my hand and said, "You look even more handsome than me." He told the waiter to bring 2 cups of coffee with some snacks. He held my hand tightly with one hand and started squeezing it. I asked, "What does ADO mean?" He replied, "Agriculture Development Officer. It's a county position." I was surprised to hear that. Meanwhile, our coffee arrived. We both drank coffee and got back in the car. He said, "I need some flower plants for home gardening." He took me to the county nursery, where there were many different greenhouses with various flower species. The entire place was under his jurisdiction, spread over several acres. He told the laborers there, "We'll come pick up the flower plants," and signaled me to walk. We both started walking on foot. He was going ahead of me, and I loved walking behind him. He gestured like a father, showing me everything. "This plant is for this. That plant is for that." I was really enjoying it. We went quite far from the residential area and entered a greenhouse. He asked me to close the door. Inside were various types of flowers. I had just started walking forward when he hugged me tightly and gave me a sweet kiss on my forehead. We stayed there for about half an hour, and then I asked him to leave because someone could come in. The flowers were just an excuse. We both left, and he drove the car back toward the city. The gentleman said, "Sometime we'll meet at my home and have a grand party. After your auntie goes to her parents' house, my place will be empty." We talked a lot more, and he dropped me off at the transit center. Today was a great day for me. It was our first loving meeting. The next meeting with the gentleman would be at his home. So this was the story with my old friend. If you like it, please subscribe my channel and share this video to your best friend.